Welcome back. With us now is Michael Scholl. We are talking about tax crimes. Mike, before the break we were going into just kind of the procedure of the tax crimes, and at the end of that segment we got into the biggest factor that the IRS has is intimidation. Now, in other cases, and I think you as well, maybe in white-collar criminal cases and with me in civil divorces, I've seen where the other party has tried to use the IRS as an intimidating factor on that. What have you seen in white-collar crimes as far as that goes?
A lot of times, especially, white-collar crime cases can be very difficult sometimes for the government to prove. A lot of times you will see them bring the IRS in to take a look at the person's books. In fact, almost always when you see them do a raid of a business, a lot of times they will be accompanied by an IRS agent who will start trying to look at books to see if there's any kind of tax issues. So then when things are sort of getting complicated, getting headed towards a trial, next thing you know, they're talking about, well, your client's got tax problems too, and we're looking at a tax issue with them. The biggest thing I tell with my clients is just, that's just part of the process when you're involved in a white-collar crime issue, and to not let it get you sidetracked on what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and I think some of that is it goes historically to the only way they got Capone was through tax crimes.
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing you run into when you're in a jury trial with something like that. Your 12 people that you're trying to argue your tax case to are all 12 people who've paid their taxes. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you've got 12 people who, I have to pay my taxes and I have to do this a certain way. But then on the flip side, the IRS has problems because a lot of times you have 12 people that don't like the IRS.
Right.
So it just depends on the circumstances you have with your client.
Yeah, and I think the other important thing with this is I was stopped by somebody the other day that, they've apparently got someone handling their tax issues, and they thought they were competent, but they're extremely dissatisfied with it, and I try not to Monday morning quarterback anybody without seeing this or that. And I think the real key with this is a lot of times what I deal with on the civil side of it is most people will go get a CPA, or they'll get an enrolled agent or someone like that, as opposed to a tax attorney or just a civil attorney.
Right.
In that. Now, obviously with tax crimes, those are individuals that can't go in to the federal court system. So on this, what are some keys that you would tell people to ask when they're trying to find competent counsel in a tax case?
Well, first and foremost, always keep in mind, you mentioned CPAs and things earlier, always keep in mind, like I mentioned in the earlier segment, is that your CPA does not have an attorney-client privilege with you. What attorney-client privilege means is that anything you tell your attorney in private between the two of you stays between the two of you. No one can have that attorney testify to it or anything else. That privilege does not exist with the CPA. So what you want to look for is these cases are, one, rare. Okay, and when I say rare, when I mention just 200 to 300 a year, that's not a lot of those cases. So you're looking for someone who's handled these cases before. You want on the civil side, you want someone that's familiar with the audit process, that has some tax experience, not just your general civil attorney. Usually what you want to do is ask your CPA is one way. You ask your civil attorney, if you have a regular attorney, who is someone that has some tax expertise. Don't go to a general practitioner. General practitioner, this is going to be way over their head in dealing with. And not to say anything about or downplay anybody that's a general practitioner, but the tax code is very complicated. The process is very complicated, and it's very unique. When you're dealing with a criminal attorney, you need to go to somebody that has some trial experience, and has trial experience in this particular area of tax. That they've tried tax evasion cases, that they know the ins and outs of that, not just somebody that just tries your general crime. Good place to look is the internet. Look at their resume, see if they've done these types of cases. If you're in a federal criminal situation, you can look up their name over at the federal courthouse, find out if they've handled these types of things. Same thing with your civil attorney. But best source is referral from your counselor or professionals that you deal with. The other source I would submit is the internet. Then go interview the person and check and see how much they know about the tax code.
Right, and that's something that I always look at from the standpoint of, you know, you want to get as many sources as you can about that person, but you also want to sit down and meet with them and make sure that you can deal with them.
Right.
Because there's different personalities.
Exactly. Well, you know, you can have several attorneys that are very reputable in this type of area, but then you sit down, you may not get along with one as you get along with another. And you got to keep in mind, if you end up in court with the IRS, you're going to be spending a lot of time with that attorney, and both in and out of court. So you need to get somebody that you can work with and that you trust. It's just like hunting for a doctor.
Right. And I think our time is up for this edition of Legalese. I'd like to thank our guest for taking time out of his busy schedule and for being with us and sharing his thoughts and insights. If you'd like more information about Legalese or any other program on GHS TV, please refer to our website at www.ghstv.org. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to join us next month for more discussion on legal topics. Until then, I'm Vince Perryman, and thank you for watching.